You don't need another resolution. You need a revolution. Because if you're honest, something inside you already knows this can't be the way your story ends. Not stuck, not numb, not surviving on autopilot. 2025 isn't here to fix you. It's here to rebuild you. You spend your entire life building habits, identities, reputations, relationships, but not everything you've built was built for you. Some of it was built for survival, for approval, for belonging in rooms that never saw you fully. And now you feel it, don't you? The quiet ache. The sense that something is off, like you've been playing a role in someone else's story. That's not failure. That's your soul trying to get your attention. It's the voice inside, whispering, this isn't all there is. And in 2025, you don't need to fix yourself. You need to tear down everything that was never truly you. We are taught from a young age to be a good daughter, good student, good employee. But the cost of being good is often the betrayal of being real. You learned how to perform. You learned how to hold your breath in rooms where you should have been able to exhale. Somewhere along the way, you lost track of what you actually wanted. And when you do that long enough, the mask becomes the face. You look in the mirror and you see the roles you play, but not the person you are. The person beneath the mask, she's still there, waiting, watching, ready. We protect the parts of ourselves we're told are too much. Your intensity, toned down. Your softness, guarded. Your dreams, delayed for practicality. You shrink to fit someone else's comfort, then wonder why your life feels so tight, so limiting. Let's call this what it is, a slow erosion of self. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens choice by choice, smile by forced smile, year by year. You're not sure who you become. But what if the pain you're feeling isn't a problem to solve? What if it's proof you're waking up? Because rebuilding doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with honesty. And honesty hurts. It's the mirror we avoid, the truth we bury under busyness, the reality we mask with achievement. But nothing changes until you're willing to face what's no longer working. That relationship that drains you, that job that suffocates you, that story you keep telling yourself that you're not good enough, not ready, not worthy. Oh, those stories, they aren't sacred. They're outdated. And tearing them down won't destroy you. It will free you. You are not weak for wanting more. You're not ungrateful for feeling the need to break away. Wanting to rebuild doesn't mean you hate your life. It means you respect yourself enough to want better. Let go of the shame that says you should be content with what you have if it's killing your spirit. Stop calling it loyalty when it's really self-abandonment. You don't owe anyone the smaller version of you just because that's who they're used to. Growth will make people uncomfortable, but their comfort is not your responsibility. So this is the moment, not next month, not when things calm down, not when you feel ready. Rebuilding yourself starts now. It starts when you stop negotiating with the old version of you, the one who was afraid, the one who settled, the one who smiled through the pain because they didn't think they had another option. You do. You always have. And in 2025, you're not adding new paint to a crumbling wall. You're tearing it down. You're getting ready not to be someone else, but to come home to who you really are. Somewhere along the road, you were convinced to let go of pieces of yourself in exchange for acceptance. Maybe it was the way you stopped speaking up, because every time you did, someone rolled their eyes. Maybe it was when you learned to dim your shine, because being too confident made others uncomfortable. Maybe it was when you stopped dreaming out loud, because every time you did, someone called it unrealistic. It's not just that you gave things up, it's that you were taught those pieces of you weren't valuable, so you buried them deep. And now you feel the used to live. You were never meant to be small, but the world doesn't reward wholeness. It rewards obedience. So you start trading parts of yourself to belong. You become quiet when you're angry. You pretend you're okay when you're breaking. You settle for almost when your soul was built for everything. You call it maturity, professionalism, grace, but let's be honest, it's self-denial. And over time, you become a master at it. You wear the smile, keep the peace, check the boxes, and the world claps for your performance. But deep down, you know, this version of you isn't the whole story. It's just the part that felt safest to show. Reclaiming yourself doesn't start with loud declarations. It starts with quiet revolutions. It's looking at your life and asking, where did I stop choosing me? That morning isn't weakness, clarity. Every right to mourn the years you spent playing small. Small, that morning isn't weakness, it's clarity. And clarity is the beginning of power. When you finally see how much of yourself you've handed away, you start to remember what it felt like to be free. And let's be clear, this isn't about becoming someone new. This is about taking back what was already yours. Your voice, your boundaries, your unapologetic joy. The things you were shamed out of, the things you were told were too much. You are not too much. You are whole. The world just wasn't ready for that wholeness. But you are. And when you reclaim those pieces, you stop waiting for others to validate your worth. You begin living like someone who finally believes they deserve to take up space. Because you do. It will be uncomfortable. People will ask why you're changing. They'll say, you used to be so easygoing. What they really mean is, you used to put your needs second, so mine could come first. Don't let their confusion make you question your clarity. They got used to the version of you that made their life easier. That's not your burden to carry anymore. Growth will cost you comfort. Reclamation will cost you approval. But losing their approval is not the same as losing yourself. And you've already done that once. You're not doing it again. This is the moment you draw the line. Not out of bitterness, but out of truth. You don't have to be the version of yourself others prefer. You don't have to keep performing the script someone else wrote. You're allowed to take the pen back. You're allowed to write a new story. One where you are not edited down to be palatable. One where you're allowed to be big, bold, raw, and real. Because when you reclaim what was taken, you stop living to be liked and start living to be you. And that changes everything. Transformation is not glamorous. It's not the highlight reel you see online with perfect lighting and tidy before and after moments. The real change, the kind that rebuilds you from the inside out, is gritty. It's lonely. It's vulnerable in ways that strip you bare. Because when you decide to rebuild yourself, you aren't adding things to your life. You're excavating. You're digging deep to uncover who you were before the world told you who to be. And that process, it's not polished. It's not perfect. It is sacred. It's the foundation of a life that actually feels like yours. You will be tempted to make it look pretty, to package your growth into something presentable, something that keeps people comfortable. But growth isn't about comfort. It's about truth. Truth doesn't always fit in an Instagram caption. Truth is raw. It's in the nights you cry and can't explain why. It's in the moments where everything familiar falls apart and all you have left is your breath. And even then, especially then, you rise. Not because everything is okay, but because you made a decision to keep showing up for yourself, even when it's hard. We live in a culture obsessed with perfection, but perfection is just fear in a mask. It's the lie that says, if you get everything right, no one can hurt you. But here's what they don't tell you. The pursuit of perfection is the fastest way to lose your soul. You don't need to be flawless to be worthy. You don't need to have it all together to deserve peace. What you need is the courage to be real. And being real means embracing the parts of your story that don't look impressive, that don't earn applause, but are yours. When you rise rooted, you stop chasing the image and start nurturing the substance. You begin building your life from values, not validation. You stop asking, do they like me? And start asking, does this align with who I am? That shift, it changes everything. You make different choices. You attract different people. You create a life that may not be easy, but is yours. And there is nothing more powerful than a person who knows who they are and no longer asks the world for permission to be it. You still struggle. This isn't about arriving at some perfect, enlightened version of yourself. This is about staying rooted during the struggle. Because rebuilding doesn't mean you never fall. It means you rise differently. You don't rise pretending the pain didn't happen. You rise holding the lessons. You rise with boundaries, with clarity, with a heart that has been broken and put back together. Not to look untouched, but to hold strength in its scars. This is how you build a life with depth. Not from pretending, but from presence. Let them keep chasing perfect. You've outgrown the game. You're building something stronger, something sustainable. Not just rising, you're rising anchored in your truth, your integrity, your purpose. And that kind of rising doesn't shake when life does. It doesn't collapse when people leave. It doesn't beg to be seen. Because it already knows it's enough. That's what it means to rise rooted. You are no longer performing for the world. You are standing fully in the center of who you were always meant to be. There comes a point when staying the same becomes more painful than the fear of change. You feel it deep down, even if you haven't said it out loud, the quiet, persistent knowing that you can't keep living on autopilot. You've outgrown the habits, the beliefs, the rhythms that once kept you safe, but now keep you stuck. It's not about hating your life. It's about recognizing that who you are today deserves more than the version of you who built it in survival mode. You were never meant to stay in the same chapter forever. Growth isn't betrayal. It's loyalty to your evolution. We tell ourselves stories to make stagnation feel comfortable. Not that bad. At least I'm not failing. This is just how life is. But deep down, you know those stories are laced with fear. Fear of what might happen if you try. Fear of being seen. Fear of falling short. So you settle, not because you don't want more, but because wanting more has been painted as selfish, unrealistic, or ungrateful. Let's be clear. It's not ungrateful to want expansion. It's not selfish to choose joy. It's not unrealistic to believe you're meant for more than just making it through. People will tell you that rebuilding your life is about massive change. But most of the time, it starts with the smallest act, telling yourself the truth. Not the filtered version, not the watered down version. The truth. What are you no longer willing to tolerate? What have you been pretending doesn't bother you? What dreams have you locked away? Because chasing them would disrupt the comfort of those around you. These aren't easy questions, but they are necessary ones. Because the moment you stop lying to yourself is the moment your life starts to shift. One act of defiance against the version of you that plays small. Start with what you can do today. Say no where you used to say yes. Speak up when you'd normally stay silent. Make the call. Set the boundary. Proof that you're no longer living by default. You're creating a life with your name on it, not just one that checks someone else's boxes. Yes, it will be hard. Rebuilding requires you to let go of the familiar, even when it's comfortable. But comfort is not the same as peace. In fact, comfort can be the very thing keeping you from the life that truly belongs to you. The hardest part of growth isn't the change. It's the grief of letting go of who you thought you had to be. I see, the grief of leaving behind the people who only liked the unhealed version of you. But hear this. The life you're building will require loss. Yes, but what you gain in return will be worth everything. Because in the end, rebuilding is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world taught you to forget. It's about trusting that your intuition knows the way home, even if your mind is still full of doubt. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to trust yourself enough to begin. The rest, it unfolds with every step you take back into your power, with every truth you speak, with every limit you release. You are not lost. You are becoming. Not in theory, not someday. In this very moment, right here, right now. There's a story you've been carrying quietly, maybe without even realizing it. It says you should be grateful for what you have. That wanting more is greedy, ungrateful, selfish. So you've convinced yourself to stay in spaces that no longer fit, in relationships that drain you, in roles that feel like cages. You tell yourself you're being realistic, but deep down you know what you're actually doing is abandoning yourself. Because somewhere along the way, someone taught you that your needs were negotiable, that your joy was optional, that settling was noble. But you're not here to settle. You're here to live. Let's be honest. You've sacrificed so much of yourself just to be seen as easy to love. You've silenced your voice to keep the peace. You've watered down your truth so others wouldn't feel threatened. Over-explained, over-apologized, all in the name of being good, likable, acceptable. But here's the cost: your authenticity, your boundaries, your joy. And the longer you carry that burden, the heavier it gets. You start feeling tired in ways rest can't fix. Disconnected in rooms full of people. You're present, but you're not there. That's the weight of self-abandonment, and it's time to put it down. Your power starts with giving yourself permission. Permission to want what you want. Permission to walk away from anything that asks you to shrink. Permission to be fully, unapologetically you, even if it makes others uncomfortable. Because your job isn't to manage other people's feelings about your growth. Your job is to honor what's true for you. And that truth, it may be inconvenient. It may be disruptive. But it's sacred. And when you stop seeking approval and start seeking alignment, everything changes. You stop living for applause and start living for freedom. You don't have to justify your healing. You don't have to explain why you're setting boundaries now, why you're no longer available for certain conversations, why your tolerance for chaos has disappeared. Growth will always make people question you, especially those who benefited from your silence. But hear this: their discomfort is not your responsibility.